Hello guys, this will be a fanfic on what if AIZEN was in the DxD universe. I didn't create this fanfic. Pause on Wattpad created this fanfic. I will put the link in the description. Chapter 1, Kidnapped by Someone. Ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. I had planned for centuries. I had the entire Soul Society fooled and wrapped around my finger. I experimented on multiple Captain-class Soul Reapers and no one believed them when they said that I was responsible. It was laughable how easy it was to gain the trust of multiple of the captains. Just by wearing a kind smile and helping here and there, they started to trust me with their lives. I planned the entire life of the man named Ichigo Kurosaki. Every battle and hardship that he faced was all a part of my plan. His mother's death, his meeting with the Soul Reaper, Rukia Kuchiki. His first fight with the Hollow. His first battle with Amanos. Him raiding the Soul Society. Etc. It was all going to plan. I mean, how could it not? I gained ultimate power by using the Hagioku and transcending the limits of the soul. I was about to stand above the very heavens themselves. Or at least it should have. It all came crashing down with one transformation from the very boy-house life I had planned. An unexpected power-up that should not have existed. Final Jutsuga Tenshou. With this transformation, the pitiful cries of the weak pierced through the heavens themselves and brought down God from his mighty throne. I lost a majority of my power, but my desires remained and I continued to evolve. But I was betrayed in the end, when the Hagioku rejected me and that bastard Kisuke was able to seal me. I was placed in the lowest depths of Mukan and I was left with my plans in shambles. Though not for long. I may have lost but my resolve remained the same. I dominated the will that exists in the Hagioku and became an immortal. My beloved Zanpakuto soon followed and now I existed without any weak points. I would no longer have to rely on anyone but myself. Then the sealed king returned and I finally had a visitor after so long. I was released from my prison soon after. I fought Iwatch and tricked the Quincy king himself. Ichigo killed him and I went back to my prison. Why did I return to my prison without a fight? It's simple. Kurosaki was now stronger than ever and could fight me evenly. Along with Kisuke Urahara being there to seal me again. So knowing this I decided to wait and wait I have. For 2000 years I have waited and there has not been an opening. When Ichigo passed on from old age he was almost immediately promoted to head captain. What makes it worse is all of his friends from all that time ago are right beside him as captains and let's not talk about his decedents. I close my eyes as I sigh. But I am patient and I will wait until the end of the world if I have to. Oh, but you won't have to. What? I try to open my eyes but I can't. Like the muscles are not there. I resort to using my senses and see that I am currently in a womb. I have been put into the body of an unborn child and from the looks of it I have a twin. This is most likely the work of the voice I heard. It was strange though, like that voice was coming from nothing and everything at the same time. Whoever did this is obviously way above me in power. Meaning that they are not from the three worlds. I have to be cautious for I do not know if there are beings like that in this new place that is filled with many worlds. Splash. Did this women's water just break? It did. Oh my adorable little siblings are so cute. The first thing I heard was an annoying high-pitched voice. The woman that the voice belonged to was wearing a ridiculous costume that I have seen some of those mentally insane humans wear. You're quite right about that, Sarafal. But do be quieter, you could hurt their sensitive ears. This man is right because my seemingly twin sister is bawling her eyes out after that. This man seems to be my father. One of them is not crying, Silvers. Is my baby all right? The well-endowed woman that this skin suit just popped out of screeched. Silvers, he's all right Serena. Just a little quiet is all. He then picked me up and brought me to this body's mother and as soon as got me she hugged me tighter than this body should be able to handle. Not human, maybe? These people do have a strange energy, along with this Yige that I will now use. Actually it seems that millions of people on this planet possess this energy. Interesting. Serena, you gave your mother quite the scare. I can see the intelligence in your eyes so I will name you Sebastian. I prefer my name. I then used Kyoka to trap them in the complete hypnosis. Better safe than sorry. Yes, that is why I picked you. You reaching your full potential will be interesting to watch. So do entertain me. You again. What do you want from me? Why have you placed me in the body of a child? What do you gain from this? You will find your answers when you reach your full potential and only then. Annoying, though I cannot do much about that in my current position. I do not know anything about this universe, so I will have to stay in the cover of this body for now. Though even with my lack of knowledge on my situation, I cannot hope but to be excited. Finally something new to do. While the location has changed, my goal still remains the same. The unbearable vacancy of the throne in the sky will soon be over. Chapter 2, Knowledge is Power. Sarafal, Satan, get back here. Ha 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 ha. I chase after my adorable little 5-year-old brother. He is so perfect, he is like a mini-me and I adore him. While Sotan is also cute, she is too serious and never plays with me. Satan on the other hand is a perfect child to my parents and me and Sona. Sebastian, hehehe, you can't catch me Levi Tan. We turn a corner and run into our mother. We're in big trouble now. Serena, seriously, how many times do I have to tell you both not to run in the halls? And Sarafal, why are you encouraging this? I forgot about that. As I was thinking of a way to defend myself, Satan ran up to mother and hugged her leg. Sebastian, we're Sarai, but it is fun. Can't we have fun, mother? He gives her the biggest puppy dog eyes that I have ever seen and mother instantly caved. Serena, you can have fun all you want, dear, but I am just worried about you. Can't a mother be worried for her baby boy? She reversed his tactic right back at him and he too fell for it. He looks like he fell into depression instantly. Sebastian, you can. I promise that I won't do it again, mother. Please don't be sad. Mother kneels down and wraps him up in a hug. Serena, it's all right, dear. Just make sure to play outside from now on, all right? Sebastian nodded his head rapidly in response. Serena, good. Now run along now. I've things to do with your father. Sebastian runs and grabs Sarafal's hand before pulling her away. Sebastian, see you later, mother. Love you. A wave at him in reply. Serena, love you too, dear. When he turned a corner and disappeared, I could not hold back the sigh escaping my throat. Such a pure child. I can only hope that he can forgive me. With the Council of Elders pushing the clan heads to sign marriage contracts and secure the future of the underworld, there is not much that I can do. The least I can do is make sure that whatever BTCH that takes my son is worthy and not some snot-nosed brat. My darling boy deserves only the best after all. Currently the grand library of the famous Citri mansion is in shambles. Not that anyone knows that, of course. If anyone were to take a look into the room, they would see that the place is in pristine condition as always. In truth, the library has been ravished and not a single book was left unused. Not single page left unturned. The man behind this slaughter was none other than the so-called perfect child. Sebastian Citri, or as he prefers, AIZEN Sosuke. Utilizing complete hypnosis, he has not left this library since the age of 3. He has spent all of his time learning of the world and he was left impressed by what this universe offers. While his family plays around with a figment of AIZEN's imagination, he has learned of many worlds and realms that vary in so many ways. A lot more interesting than the 3 worlds of his past universe. Instead of Ryoku, this universe has many different energies. The body that he currently possesses wields the energy called demonic power. Using this energy, you can use your imagination and willpower to create. He has even taken its properties and added it to his Ryoku. When he learned of divinity and so-called gods, he was disgusted. These fakers do not deserve to be called gods. A god should stand above everything. To be the ultimate power, yet these weaklings call themselves deities. Pathetic imitations. The only one that gained the interest of the transcendent was the biblical God. A man that started creation and shaped the world. Now that is worthy of AIZEN's respect. If only he was not killed, he would be of more interest. Though his creations are still here to experiment with. The sacred gears and the throne of heroes. Sacred gears are spiritual weapons that attach themselves to the souls of humans and allow them to reach greater power at the cost of being a target of the supernatural. It reminds him of Iwatch in that way. You gain power but lose a portion of your lifespan. I will have to research these gears in person. The throne is also of interest. If a human is remembered by humanity in some way, their souls are placed within this realm. Though because they are souls they cannot sustain themselves outside of the realm without being summoned by a master. It sounds like slavery with more steps to me though. Though the supernatural can visit this realm and interact with heroes of the past. They even have a king there, a man feared throughout the factions as the king of heroes, Gilgamesh. He is said to be the strongest human ever to live, and I will have to watch myself when around him. After all, I can sense his aura from here and he is not someone to be trifled with. I can do nothing of it as of now. I cannot expose myself so soon with the threat of those fake deities and factions. As soon as my vessel grows up and I gain what is called evil pieces, I will be able to remake the espada and begin my work. These devils sure are annoying though. The so-called four great Satanas are jokes. They are the strongest devils and yet they follow the orders of the council. Once again another reminder of my old world. The captains could have leveled the Soul Society with ease and yet they let themselves be controlled by Central 46. Even Kurosaki listens to them now and it disgusts me. It is to be expected, I guess. Not everyone can live like I can. To be unbound be things like laws. This body's older sister and her comrades cannot exist without clinging to the laws made by those that are weaker than them. That is why they are weak, for laws only exist for the weak that cannot live without clinging to them. At least I do not have to pretend to be a kid and act like I love this family. All of them believe that I am the perfect child and that I could do no wrong. When I have not even looked at them in the past 2 years. Illusion always make everything easier. Oh well, since I have finished learning of this world I believe it is time to gain a closer perspective of it. I then disconnect my soul from this skinsuit for the first time since arriving and it felt like waking up from a nap. I then protect the vessel with multiple barriers made from my Ryoku. While it seems that no one in this universe holds their power in a separate dimension like me. The ones that are stronger than me should be able to perceive my power, so I will seal it with something that I have grown familiar with over the past millennia. Aizen, now let's go and see the universe with my own eyes. He then opens a garganta to allow him to travel between the worlds and walks through it. For soon it will all belong to me. Chapter 3, Longinus. This universe is so much more interesting than my last one. These worlds are so unique and hold so much potential. Unfortunately it seems that the inhabitants cannot see this. For they are blinded by their own lust. Like animals. The fictional characters of my past world are real in this new one. Though they hardly live up to those legends. The great god of wisdom Odin from Norse mythology is but an old perverted man in this world. The legendary tempter Azazel is similar in that aspect. So while this universe is interesting, most of its inhabitants are trash. Though some are able to shine like stars in the dark of this world. People that have made it past these morsels and have become something worthwhile. It is just unfortunate that a lot of them are humans that are now trapped in the throne of heroes. Maybe I could summon some of them? It might prove to be interesting. Those sacred gears have also caught my interest. Or rather the ones dubbed Longinus. They are said to be tools that destroy God, and with their functions I do not doubt it. They run off of the will and desire of the user, making its power fluctuate between users. It's similar to my Hagioku in that regard. I believe that I will take one of these for myself. The one called. It has the ability to forcibly create and enforce options and choices that aren't possible normally, changing the possibility of certain phenomena into unexpected events. Using this in conjunction with Kyoka Sujetsu would prove to be most entertaining. Unfortunately I do not know where the current possessor is. Even while being able to sense all the living beings of these multiple worlds, I still can't see the possessor. Whoever it is most likely using the Longinus to disrupt my senses. So I will wait. That does not stop me from getting my hands on another Longinus though. Their energy signatures are unique and easy to spot. Currently there is 10 Longinus on Earth, with one of them being in the possession of the vampires over in Romania. The Longinus each have their own special abilities. That are. True Longinus, a bladed spear that is capable of killing gods and deals major damage against dark beings. Zenith Tempest, it has the ability to control the weather and its elemental attributes. Annihilation Maker, the ability to create any creature that the possessor can imagine. Dimension Loss, the ability to block any attack using the mist that it creates, and transport anything inside the mist to any location. Boosted gear. The gauntlet has the ability to enhance the user's capabilities as well as transferring power to anyone or an object. Divine dividing. The wings not only give the ability to fly but can also have the power from anything or anyone, which is then added to the user. Regulus Nemea. The ability break the ground in a single strike to splitting the earth in half if mastered. Its secondary ability protects the possessor from projectile-based weapons. Canis Lycaon allows the user to produce blades in the shadows that are in the user's field of vision. These blades have the potential to cut all things and can produce black and crimson cursed flames. Sephiroth Grawl grants the user power over souls and information on life. Incinerate Anthem. It has the ability to generate and control purple-colored holy flames that can incinerate devils. Absolute Demise. It wields immense ice-based powers, which is capable of freezing an entire area, turning it into a frozen world. At its maximum range, it can lock an entire small county within a crystal of ice as long as the user wishes to, befitting a Longinus. Innovate Clear, which has the ability to create an artificial pocket universe that can create and support life. However, anything created in there can only live in that universe. And Telos Karma. It is said to be able to warp probability, creating outcomes that otherwise would not be possible. In the past it has also been nicknamed History Breaker. Every single one of them is a work of art. They are all useful to me, with Telos Karma being my favorite. What makes it even better is that they all have souls that their power comes from. Souls that I can feed to the Hagioku. But I will not. I do not know how these sacred gears truly work. That is why I am going to pick one up now. I will train the user and see firsthand how the Longinus works and if I can have the Hagioku eat without fear of disrupting it. If the user proves to be valuable, I may keep them. Arriving at the closest Longinus, I find myself at a graveyard. A funeral is taking place and from the pictures it is elderly women. I look around and spot the user. It seems to be a young boy, grieving the loss of his grandmother. The Longinus inside of it is sealed away for some reason that I will find out soon. POV change. My name is Tobio IQs. My grandmother passed away suddenly. I could not understand the fact that she was gone. The only person who has ever taken care of me. The mother figure that I have known for the 7 years of my life died and left me with only my friend, C. But it seems that I have even worse luck than I thought and she died 3 days later in an accident. There was no funeral for my best friend because they could not find the body. Now the funeral for my grandmother is over. I stand in front of her grave and wonder on what I should do next. I have nothing, no will, no aspirations, no ambition. I have no reason to live. Child. I was startled from my thoughts by a charming masculine voice. I turn around and I am not gay, but how does this man have this much style? Where are your parents? You should not be out here this late. I look up to the sky and he is right. I guess I lost track of time. Tobio, I lost track of time. Mister, who are you? If you don't mind me asking. The man ignored my question and asked his own. Tell me, do you believe in fate? Fate? Tobio, what do you mean, sir? The man was now standing beside me as we both looked at my grandmother's grave. Fate is the development of events beyond a person's control, regarded as determined by a supernatural power. Meaning that everything that happens has already been decided and you have no choice in the matter. So, do you believe in such a thing? If that is true, then that would mean that someone else decided for my loved ones to die. Tobio, I would hope that such a thing does not exist, mister. The man spoke again. No one does. It is a reaction that all humans have to things that they cannot control. The fear of the unknown. The fear of weakness. The only way to surpass fate is to be strong. For even fate bends to the will of the strong. I paid close attention to what he said. You could be that strong. I jolted in shock at his words. Me? I have always been the weak one. She always had to take care of me and I had to rely on her and grandma. Tobio, how could I be that strong? I am only a kid. The man smirked at me. Age is irrelevant in combat. Do you think that your enemy will care if you are a kid? No, they will strike you down. Only the strong can decide where they will die, and with that mentality you will only lose more of what you care about. I have nothing else but maybe. Tobio, can you help me gain this strength? To be able to protect what I care about. to never lose anything again. The man smiled. It was not a pleased smile or a kind one. It was a smile that conveyed his confidence. Like this was the only outcome of this conversation. That and so much more. My name is AIZEN Sosuke, remember it. Also this may hurt a bit. What? My train of thought was interrupted when he was suddenly in front of me and his hand was an inch away from my chest. Then what felt like a pulse of energy flowed through me and I could feel something awaken within me. Pain surged through me as my body was covered with shadows. The shadows wrapped around me like a suit that formed 6 tails behind me and a dog-like helmet covered my face. I could not hold it for long and it soon dispersed. I could feel myself losing consciousness but he spoke once more before I could. AIZEN, balance breaker at such a young age. Simply amazing. Seeing your limits with be quite entertaining. Then I knew no more. Chapter 4, Canis Lycaon. POV. I woke up with a start. There is this tiny puppy licking my face and my immediate reaction would be to push it away but for some reason I can feel a connection between us. You're finally awake. Hearing the voice I looked around at my surroundings. I am in a huge library in a room that is the size of a mansion. I then see man that I talked to before sitting on a chair and reading a book that he has not bothered to look up from. He said his name was AIZEN, right? Tobio, what was that, sir? Those shadows? AIZEN got up and handed me the book he was reading. AIZEN, read this book and you will understand everything. The book talked of myths. Things that I know are just made up stories. With everything that happened last night I cannot rule out anything though. It talked of a great war and the creations of the biblical god. Sacred gears, weapons that some humans are born with. It gives them great power but in exchange it involves them in the supernatural world. There is also the 13 Longinus. Weapons that can allow humans to kill gods. One of them has a check by it, so I read about it. Canis Lycaon. In the past, the god of the Bible used 2 individual sources for the Canis Lycaon. One of them being the king of Arcadia, Lycaon, who incurred the wrath of Zeus, causing the king to be turned into a wolf after being cursed. And Aim no Habari, the divine sword in Shintoism used to kill Hinakagutsuchi. As a result of the distortion caused by the union of both, the sacred gear was turned from a wolf into a dog. Lycaon's curse also tainted the legendary sword, resulting in the blade losing its divinity and turning into an ominous blade. Is this where this dog comes from? Looking down at my feet from my sitting position, I can see the dog snuggled up to my feet. This is Canis Lycaon? When he said that I can be strong, he meant that I had the power to kill gods. The man in question then spoke up. AIZEN, like I said, you can become powerful enough to control your own fate. To protect those you care about, and those you will care about in the future. Do you wish to know more about your power? I picked up the dog and quickly nodded my head. I will need all the knowledge that I can get. AIZEN, very well. Canis Lycaon summons a black dog, which also acts as an independent avatar with its own instincts. Canis Lycaon can produce blades that are able to slice apart gods and Buddhas, as Aim no Habari is also inside of it. The blades can appear from the shadows in your vision, or strike from the dog. Try it. I did as told and nothing happened. AIZEN, sacred gears work off of your will and desires. You are not asking but telling your power to make the sword. You have to want it. I tried again and this time I was able to summon a black dagger from the dog. AIZEN, good. The power will grow with you. So get acquainted with the dog. Your training starts tomorrow. Tomorrow? So soon? I look down at my lap and see the dog looking up at me. Tobio, I'm going to call you, Jin. Jin, bark. Time skip, 3 years. I walk down the halls of the Citri mansion. Even though none of the Citri know that I am here. My lord's power still impresses me to this day. To be able to control one of the 4 great Satans is no easy featuring. I still remember his response when I asked him about it. AIZEN, people believe what they want to believe. Serafal Leviathan finds it easier to believe that I am the perfect child and so does everyone else. After all, why would they want to believe anything else? His power to control them is impressive but his swordsmanship is even more impressive to me. No matter how hard I train, I doubt that I will ever be at his level. Though I have improved myself. Jin has now grown up from a puppy to a fully grown hound. AIZEN even trained Jin, which would have been hilarious to watch if I did not have to train like hell as well. Now that it has been 3 years of hard training, I can finally use my balance breaker for 10 minutes before I can't take it and have to power down. Aizen says that it is because of my age, but other than that he is impressed with my growth. I continue to walk the halls before I arrive at the library that I know my lord spends most of his time in. I walk in and I see a small 8-year-old child seated on Lord Aizen's favorite chair. It was shocking to me that my lord was actually younger than me, but I know that mentally he is way above me. I walk towards him before bowing and then standing straight. "Tobio, you called me, Lord Aizen." He then looked up from the book in his lap. "Aizen, you have done well in your training and have showed your competence. You will soon be rewarded." I bow my head again to show my gratitude. "Tobio, thank you my lord. Is there a reason for your current appearance, if I may ask?" He then stood up and began to walk towards the door. "Aizen, at the age of 8 all high-class devils receive their evil pieces. Wouldn't want them to hand the pieces to nothing now, would we? Wait here for my return." I nod my head and he leaves. I know that if I proved to not be weaker than I am right now that he would probably kill me. So I do whatever any other 11-year-old would do when they are praised by their parental figure. I breakdance. Chapter 5, Apotheosis. The creation of Ajuka Beelzebub, the evil pieces, also known as the devil's pieces, are a set of 15 chess pieces given to high-class devils to increase their ranks by reincarnating other beings into devils. Aizen set his sights on these pieces as soon as he heard about them. It's not like he wants to turn people into devils or even change the races of beings at all. For he already has the Hajioku that can break the limits of the races. No, what he wants them for is the strength the individual gains when they accept the piece. If he could remove the demonic energy from them and add the energy of the entire family is sitting down at the dining table. All of them are laughing and playing around. A heartwarming sight to all that look upon it. The twins of the family and sitting right beside each other as they wait for what they know will come. This is their 8th birthday after all. They have done all of this before. What they seemingly don't know is that this birthday is special. A day that changes the lives of high-class devils. Silvers, now children, you know what time it is? Both twins were practically jumping up and down with excitement. Both presents. The other 3 laughed at their sentiment. Unlike Ria's Gremory, who is always gifted things by her older brother, Sarafal and her parents wait until their birthdays to shower them in presents. Sona and Sebastian treat all of them as a treasure. "Serena, calm down dears. This time there is a special gift for the both of you." Both children's eyes practically shined in anticipation, though Sona tried to hide it and failed. Sarafal placed 2 cases in front of Sebastian and Sona. "Sarafal, open them." They did as told and saw 15 red pieces inside. Both of them gasped knowing what these are. Sarafal, see, isn't your big sister the best? No one can compare to magical girl Levitan. Sona's sweat dropped at her sister's antics while Sebastian nodded at Sarafal in agreement. "Silvers, now, it was both me and your mother that helped as well, Sarafal. Anyway, all you need to do is coat the pieces with your demonic energy so they recognize you as the king." They did as told and everything went as normal. The family celebrated the achievement that marked the growth of their youngest family members. Though no one noticed that the real Sebastian swiped the real evil pieces the moment they were placed on the table. He replaced them with an illusion and left to his favorite place in the estate. Aizen began to work on removing the demonic energy from the pieces. Weakness is not something that he can just accept, so keeping the energy is not an option for him. They are made out of crystals that you can find on a grease. These crystals can absorb energy and hold it in the body, forcing the body to change and match the energy inside the pieces, making the person change into a devil. When Aizen removed the demonic energy, it changed to a white chess piece. No longer with energy, they now are simply empty containers. Aizen then removed himself from his physical body and placed it in a chair so that he can begin the good part. He then began to draw upon the energy of the Hajioku that is a part of him. The energy flowed into the chess piece and they started to glow. The energy seemed to power when the pieces started to crack. It stopped when the energy responded to the desire of its master and made the chess pieces stronger. The pieces then became clear, allowing for someone to see the multicolored energy inside. "Tobio, what can it do?" Aizen smirked when he heard the words of his young apprentice. What they do is obvious to himself. But he might as well explain. He placed the newly made chess pieces and sat down across from Tobio. Aizen, they no longer change your race but evolve it. The holder surpasses the limits of their race. Things like age is of no concern to them. They will be able to never reach their strongest. Always growing stronger. Tobio was amazed at this. Tobio, if you can make this, does that mean that you can do that as well? Aizen simply picked up the knight piece and placed it down on the table in front of the dog. Aizen, I can do that and so much more. This is my gift to you. If you chose to take it, then you will serve me for the rest of your life. If you turn it down, well, you already know the outcome. Tobio gulped at his words. It seems his earlier thoughts are actually true. This did not scare him much though. He knows that Aizen is a very ambitious being. So ambitious that he will not let anything get in his way. Tobio leaving and having the chance of telling people of the man behind Sebastian Sideri is not something that he can let happen. Tobio also knows that there is no reason to not accept either. Aizen may be able to do anything to get what he wants, but he won't do things for no reason. The power that this small object brings is also no joke. He trusts Aizen more than anything, so the only choice was obvious. So Tobio picked up the piece and told Aizen his answer. Tobio, I accept, my lord. Aizen nodded and the piece flew out of his hand and into his chest. The piece then phased right into the middle of his heart and began to pump its own energy through his body. It mixed with his magic energy and evolved it. His physical body also changed into its peak condition. His power grew to brand new heights that a human has never reached before. A level of power that is not supposed to be obtainable. The strain of his body was too much for Tobio and he passed out. Aizen then took and laid him out on a table nearby as he taught on his new equipment. The functions of the chess pieces are similar to the Hajioku, but it lacks in comparison. Instead of infinite energy, Tobio just gained fast mana regeneration. He is also not immortal but instead can regenerate as long as his heart is not damaged. He should also be able to evolve like Icon but in a much lesser fashion. Possibly something like adaptive regeneration? I can find out when he wakes up. I then looked down at the 14 other pieces and could not help but laugh. With these everything will be easier. I will remake the Espada and this time they will not be so pathetic. They will be true representations of my majesty. Every single one of them. Chapter 6, Young Devil Mixer. It has been 2 months since the ascension of Tobio IQs and he has been living on cloud 9. With hyper regeneration he can train for days at a time before he gets tired. He has been pestering Aizen to train him a lot more and Aizen agreed on the premise of seeing how the chess piece works. Aizen is proud of his work as well. Tobio has improved from being at high class level all the way to Satan class in just 2 months. He was right about adaptive regeneration. Every time Tobio gets wounded it is a little bit harder to wound him the same way again. His skin gets tougher and he even gets smarter a lot faster than normal. Mentally, physically, and spiritually. All of these are being improved by the piece that Aizen has decided to call Predator Pieces. So much in fact that Tobio has taken to reading multiple books on advanced topics like quantum physics. Now that 2 months has passed. Another event is upon them. 2 months after the high-class devil's birthday they are all invited to a gathering. In the past this gathering served the purpose of the decedents of the 4 great Satans showing the other clans their places. Now though that the anti-Satan faction won it has been repurposed into a regular gathering. At least that is what they want you to think. In actuality it is a way for the Council of Elders to make sure that young devils stay to their roots. So that when they go out into the human world looking for servants, they remember that they have friends in the underworld waiting for them and they do not leave for long. Pathetic if you ask Aizen, though that is just because he hates the weak trying to control those that are stronger than them. To try and latch on to anything to retain your position instead of relying on one's own strength. So now 4/5s of the Citri household teleport to the Gremory mansion. Serafal has to be with the other Satans and they have to arrive as one. Showing their unity. Why the Gremory estate you ask? Well such as though that it would be the best place. Though we all know that this is just so his little sister can shine in the company of her own home. Instead of having to travel to someone else and be seen as a guest. A joke and a siskin. I can sense someone far below us. Deep in the ground is a high-class devil that I have not sensed before. There is a barrier that stops people from sensing what's inside, but that does not stop me. If I had to guess, then that is the first Gremory or one of the previous heads of the family. They are most likely sleeping and staying out of public in order to stay alive. Oh well, it does not matter to me. Upon arrival at the dining hall, I can see multiple heirs. Most of them are just average, while others are better or worse. There is ones like Ria's Gremory who were born with more power than others. They are Sikvara Agars, Diodora Osterov, and Sona Citri. While ones born weaker are Zephyrdor Glassii Labilis and the unique case Saraord Beal. Right now the persons of interest are Sikvara and Saraord. Sikvara because I know that I will be forced into a marriage and she is the only good choice. Plus finding out how to use her time magic will be useful. Saraord is just for an experiment. I walk towards Sikvara while noticing my mother watching. I arrive at the edge of the dining hall where she is seated alone. I walk up to her before placing my left hand on the chair opposite her. Sebastian, you do not mind if I sit here, do you? She looks at me with a calculating gaze and is about to nod, but I sit down before she does. She became irked that this boy would do whatever he wants. Sikvara, it's rude to sit down without my permission, you know, boy. I feign a look of surprise before scratching the back of my head and replying. Sebas, I am sorry then. I did not mean you any disrespect. She giggles at his behavior. Sikvara, it's all right. Now why did you come all the way over here? The party only just started. I let out a sigh of relief before slumping down in my chair at her question. Sebas, I am not really good with interacting with a mass of people. I get nervous and believe that I may make a mistake that would shame my family. She nods in understanding. As the heir of her family, she has a lot of responsibilities. Sikvara, I completely understand. As heiress and all, I would rather just stay at home and learn more about mechas. This caught my attention. Acting like a shy boy until she said something she is interested, plan works every time. Sebas, mechas? I happen to know lots about them. They are just so cool, you know. With this she practically lit up and she lost her previous cold demeanor and became extremely excited and enthusiastic. She literally has stars in her eyes. Sikvara, really? Tell me more. She demanded, and thus started an hour-long conversation over mechas of all things. They would talk about their favorite types and almost everything else about them. After a while they had to separate and continue to get to know their peers, but it's safe to say that Sikvara made a new friend. This is all just a ploy for me though. He has no interest in procreation, for I have complete control over my body and desires, and no desire for an heir. So to keep up the front that I will get married and provide an heir, I picked Sikvara as a sort of cover. After all, I will be long gone from the underworld when the time comes for our marriage. I then headed toward my other target and found in a similar area to Sikvara. He is standing out on the balcony and watching the stars while looking depressed. Sebas, hello there. He looked back startled from the new voice and saw a boy a little younger than himself walk up to him. They looked similar, with both of them having black hair and purple eyes. Sebas, I am Sebastian Citri. You are? Saraord did not answer. No one ever speaks to him unless they are going to bully him. Sebas, no answer? That's too bad. I then stood right next to him on the balcony and we stood in silence. Eventually Saraord could not take it and launched a fist to Sebastian's face. Though the boy just caught this. Saraord, why are you here? You are here to mock me like all the others, aren't you? Sebastian let go of Saraord's fist and asked. Sebas, why would I do that? The former Belair began to shake in anger. Saraord, everyone does. All you people care about is status. So there is no way that you would talk to me. I faked a sigh and began my plan. Sebas, tell me, have you ever heard the tale of Yuhabaha, the Almighty? Saraord became confused. He had never heard of that name or that title. But he's sounding strong. Sebas, I tell you then, Yuhabaha was a man born with nothing. He could not move. He could not see. He could not taste. He could not even feel. He did not feel fear though. The boy was strong-willed if anything. The boy used that. He gained things with his will alone. He gained sight, hearing, taste, touch and even sight with just his sheer will. He did not stop there though. He continued forward. He became known as the Almighty for his strength. This goes to show that even those that are not blessed are able to still stand at the top. Awe would not be able to define the look the boy was wearing. He could not believe such a story was true, but by looking at the face of the speaker he could tell he was saying the truth. I then began to walk away before putting my hand on his shoulder and stopping. Sebas, are you going to let you curse hold you back, or are you going to prove all of these brats wrong? Keep this story to yourself. I then walked to the door leading back into the party, but turned my head back to see his contemplative expression. Sebas, what would your mother want? He jerked his head up and looked at where I was, but he could not see me. He looked down at his hands before clenching them hard enough to draw blood. I then knew that my plan worked. By using a changed version of Iwatch's story, I have sparked the fire beneath him. Mentioning his mother made that spark a bonfire. I chuckled at what I have just unleashed upon the underworld. The Council of Elders will not know what hit them. I then sensed a Longinus user in the underworld. I seemed to have missed him because of the strong ward over there. I should have paid more attention to it. Well, I guess it's time for me to acquire another one. I then used complete hypnosis on the entire party, including the Devil Kings, and led towards the energy signature. What one will it be this time? Well, it does not matter. They will all belong to me in the end. Chapter 7, Divine Dividing. I can't show up as Sebastian Citri, so I should go drop off this body first. I shunpoed back to the estate and dropped the body off in a minute. Though it seems that a minute was too late. Another energy signature is heading towards the Longinus user. I can tell who it is, and this will be fun. We both arrive at the same time and see a kid around the age of Sona asleep on the ground. He has multiple wounds that seem to be the result of torture. The man I know as Azazel did not notice my arrival and continued forward towards the kid. Aizen, I suggest you move away from the child. Azazel, startled from the voice, looked around and did not see anyone. He looked up and then saw him. A man standing in the sky without wings and making it look so easy. A spell? He could sense no magic from the man though. He could actually sense nothing from the entity. It reminding him of being born from the void. He is just floating there with his arms spread out like he is descending from heaven. Azazel, and who might you be? I don't think I have ever heard of a man with your description. Which is strange considering your level of power. His intellect is as good as I have heard. Because he cannot sense my power, he automatically assumed that I am strong. He will be useful. Aizen, I am the man who will be taking that boy. Try and stop me if you like. Azazel became alarmed at this. He needs this kid to continue his research on dragon-type sacred gears. With the kid's help he will be able to finish his downfall dragon spear. So he summoned multiple spears of light and fired them at Aizen. Aizen, so be it then. I then shunpoed past the spears and arrived right in front of Azazel. His eyes widened in surprise of my speed but did not get to react as lighting was already gathering in my palm. Aizen, had number 63, Reikaho. I slammed the side of my palm into his side and he was sent flying. He took minor damage from the attack, but I got what I wanted. I picked up the kid and got out of there before he even got up from his landing site. What is better is that the lightning from my attack caught the attention of the 4 great Satans, and they know that Azazel is within their territory. Of course Azazel could tell them about me, but that is what I am counting on. I need them to be on the lookout for a new enemy while I complete what I need as Sebastian. This cover is very useful, it seems. And entertaining. I arrive back at library and hand the kid to Tobio. He looks at the silver-haired kid in surprise before placing him on a sofa. Aizen, this kid is a Longinus user like you. I found him when he left the warding field. You will train him in how to use his Longinus and everything else. If he needs anything, come to me, and you have 3 years to make him strong enough to be a part of my peerage. Tobio at first was shocked that his lord found a second god killer, but quickly composed himself. This is the first task that Aizen has given him and he will not fail it. Tobio, it will be done, my lord. Little brother will reach your expectations. Aizen just chuckled at this proclamation. Tobio training the kid into something strong is just the beginning. After they get close to each other in strength, they can then work off of each other and reach new heights. POV change. Who was that? Thought Azazel as he forced himself up from his crash site. He did not even see him move when he was already in front of him before he realized he it. That speed reminds him of Hermes, and yet all Hermes can do is run. That lighting attack as well. He arrived at where the kid was and saw them already gone. He grit his teeth in frustration, which turned into full-on grinding when he sensed the presence of Sirzech's and Serafal. He turned around and faced them. Azazel, Sirzech's, Serafal, what brings you here? Both of them have cold looks on their faces. That attack they sensed was no joke, and from the minor wounds they see on Azazel it is clear that he is not the one who casted it. Sirzech's, you are in devil territory, Azazel. This is trespassing. Azazel grimaced at that, knowing that a war could be started over this. So he explained. Azazel, I sensed a strong sacred gear here and came to take a look. Someone beat me to it and took the user away. Both the Devil Kings know that it was not the full story and pressed. Serafal, and this person that beat you to it also caused this much damage to you? Who was it, a god? Azazel would like to know the same thing. Azazel, that's the thing. I do not know who it was. This confused them because every person that can harm someone like Azazel is widely known about. Seeing their looks, Azazel continued. Azazel, it seems that we have a new player on the field if you guys do not know who that was. I promise that this won't happen again, and do let me know if you find out anything about a man with brown hair and brown eyes that is covered in black ribbons. With that, Azazel teleported away, leaving the Devil Kings with a lot to think about. POV change. AIZEN was reading a book that he has read multiple times in order to wait for the kid to get up. He has already applied Kato to the boy and all his wounds are now healed. He is now just waiting for the boy to get up. Tobio is also excited to meet the kid. No matter how mature he is still a child that enjoys the company of others. So this is a welcome addition for him. Finally the kid woke up with a start. He began looking around wildly in search of something, and his eyes caught the figure of AIZEN and became confused. This place and these people look nothing like what he knows. Did Grandpa not find him? AIZEN, child, what is your name? The silver-haired kid started at AIZEN for a while before responding. Vali, my name is Vali, no last name. AIZEN nodded even though he knew that the kid was lying. Both him and Tobio can sense the immense demonic power within the child. Meaning that he can only be a descendant of the 4 original Satans. AIZEN, alright Vali, my name is AIZEN Sosuke and the child over there is Tobio IQs. AIZEN pointed over to Vali's right where Tobio was eagerly watching Vali like he was some kind of toy. AIZEN, tell me, do you want to be strong? Vali just looked at the floor. AIZEN, you were covered in wounds. You came out of an area that is warded. If I had to guess, then you got those wounds from a family member. Vali clenched his fists. AIZEN, they harmed you, your father? Vali's hands began to bleed. AIZEN, your father, are you just going to let him get away with that? He tortured you and you are away. Don't you want revenge? Vali started to shake with anger. AIZEN, what about your mother? Vali then exploded with rage. White wings with blue energy formed on his back. Vali, ARRRGG. He lunged at AIZEN and threw his fist at him. AIZEN simply caught his fist. AIZEN, I am not the one you should be angry with. Tobio will train you, you will have your revenge. AIZEN then knocked him out and threw him at Tobio. He caught him with ease. AIZEN, set up his room next to yours. Begin training him tomorrow. Tobio nodded and went away to set up his room. A room that the Citri residence does not know exists. AIZEN then laughed once again. The Longinus the boy has is not one of the ones that he wants. After all, why would he need to divide anything? That is below him, but it is not below Vali. So he will have the boy trained into something incredible. Someone worthy of his grace. A member of the Espada. Chapter 8, Vali Lucifer. POV. I never expected that anything like this could ever happen. My father abused me from a young age and all I had was my mother. She patched me up after the beatings and was the only one that ever showed kindness to me. It did not last. My father became more and more violent and the beatings increased. At some point my desire allowed to be able to talk to Albion. The vanishing dragon. He has been a good friend and partner to me. He could not help me because my father sealed my sacred gear to make sure that I could not use its power. Him just being there was enough for me though. Eventually my mother could not take it anymore and made a plan for us to escape. Albion agreed with the plan and we started our escape. Unfortunately my mother was caught by my father but I was able to escape. I ran for a long time before I gave out and passed out. When I came to, I was in a library that I had never seen before. There was a kid about 3 years older than me and a man that looked at me with cold indifference. He provoked me and I fell for it. I figured out later that he was trying to bring out my sacred gear and see which one it was. I was scared of the man and would not go near him. Tobio was pretty cool though. He told me everything I wanted to know and trained me to become stronger. My goal is to get revenge against my father and grandfather. To kill them both and save my mother. My new brother's goal is to be strong enough to protect those he cares about. It makes me feel bad sometimes that my goal is so selfish compared to his. He treats me as if I am his little brother and I spit on his kindness like this. Tobio is also really strong. Albion said that he is on the level of the original Satans. That made me increase my training in order to surpass my older brother. I was even more awed when Albion told me that the man named AIZEN is stronger than him. I then knew that AIZEN could kill me whenever he wanted and I could do nothing about it. There was no reason to be afraid then. He obviously does not plan to kill me and has only helped me since I have known him. So I started hanging out with him and he is not that bad. He is very intellectual and I have learned a lot of things with him. Even more than with Tobio, and he is a genius. It really shows where AIZEN is at. I have gotten a lot stronger than I was previously. I can now enter balance breaker for 15 minutes before I have to deactivate it. I am also learning new ways to use my demonic power. Soon I should be able to face the past possessors of the divine dividing. Or so Albion says. It has been 2 years since I have arrived and I will now tell them of my past. I am now 10 years old. Tobio is 13 and AIZEN's cover is 10. I walked into the library and AIZEN reading a report on something. Tobio is playing on the floor with a miniature version of Jin. Upon smelling me, Jin ran up to me and jumped at me and kicked me in the cheek. Jin, ISEKAIED. I was knocked on my ass and Jin continued to hit me, more like poke me, with his paws. Tobio, sorry about that volley. I do not know why Jin doesn't like dragons. I sat up as I grabbed Jin by his front paw and threw him on top of a bookshelf. A blue light started glowing from my hand. Albion, Longinuses do not like other Longinuses. With Canis Licon's limited mental prowess, he just attacks instead of ignoring it. AIZEN looked up from the book he was reading when he heard the voice of Albion. AIZEN, Albion, I need some information on a dragon after Volley has finished talking about what he wants to tell us. I did not react to what he said. I already know of how scary AIZEN's intellect is. I sit down across from AIZEN as Tobio pulls up a chair. Volley, as I am sure you already know, I am the descendant of one of the original Satans. My name is actually Volley Lucifer. I am the great-grandson of the original Lucifer. Tobio showed an understanding look at this fact. His little brother has shown some serious potential and this is why. AIZEN on the other hand smirked. He can use this. Volley, another thing that you should know is that the original Beelzebub is alive. He left the Great War when he saw no more profit for him. He now just creates things and tries to find someone that can kill him. He wants to die in battle like his former comrades now. I have seen him twice in the Lucifer mansion and thought that you might want to know. AIZEN can use this as well. Getting this kid is one of the best choices he has made since arriving here. AIZEN, thank you for telling me, Volley. You have 1 more year of training before you can join my peerage. Do not slack off. I nodded quickly. Training is fun for me anyway. The thrill of battle is my favorite feeling. AIZEN, now Albion. I made my wings appear on my back so that Albion is able to talk easier. Albion, yes, strong one. AIZEN set down the paper he was holding and a book soon replaced it. The title of the book was. AIZEN turned the pages and I could see how it named the races of dragons and even the evil dragons and dragon kings. Near the end of the book it talked of the heavenly dragons and the dragon gods, but on page was destroyed. It was basically ash. They was name though. No title. Albion let out a startled gasp when he read the name. AIZEN, do you know this dragon? AIZEN asked with a smile. Albion, I do. The black dragon is an entity that is above even me and Drake. He is said to be the dragon closest to the dragon gods. His name is Alatrian. The blazing black dragon. AIZEN leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes. AIZEN, I see. Is there anything you can tell me of his powers? Albion does not have a body, but I could feel the nod. Albion, he can control all elements. Fire, water, air, earth, light, and darkness are all under his control. AIZEN was thankful for this information. He will make sure not to use such kiddas if they were to battle. He then stood up. Tobio, where are you going, my lord? AIZEN just kept walking but said. AIZEN, read the paper. We did the set and all we had to do was read the title. Chapter 9, Souls. POV. I cannot believe how foolish these devils truly are. They would destroy an entire race just because that girl killed one of the pillars. They do not even know that the pillar in question was doing what some people would call inhumane experiments. Funny considering that I have done worse and they are devils. They did not even bother trying to learn of why the Nekoshao named Kuroka killed him either. They just decided to eliminate a race that is not even under their jurisdiction. Though knowing how pathetic the leaders of this world are, the Shinto faction will most likely do nothing. An entire race that they are supposed to protect will get slaughtered by the devils and they will do nothing. They are scared. Scared of the powerhouse known as Such as Lucifer. I would be cautious of that Siskin too, if it weren't for the fact that I know he is merely a puppet. A man that can become destruction itself allows himself to be controlled by the Council of Elders. His father raised him into a fine weapon indeed. Well, I do not care either way. This gives me the perfect opportunity to see what effect these different races will have on the Hagioku. Will it gain more powers? I can't wait to see. Upon arrival I see an army of devils flying to the village where the Nekoshao live. As they get closer the cats spot the devils. Makes sense considering that the Nekas can use senjutsu. A way of controlling nature. A power I will have. The cats try to teleport away but the devils put down an anti-teleportation barrier. Then the cats were slaughtered one by one. The army did not spare any mercy. Then again they are just soldiers. If they do not do as told they are expendable. Then the Reapers showed up, the workers of Hades that will bring these souls to the realm of the dead. Unfortunately for the Reapers, I am the only true death god in this world. So I made quick work of it and started to collect the souls. They are not much different than human souls. They seem to be warped though. To make these races someone, most likely the creator god, has manipulated these souls and gave them different outlets for the spiritual pressure. Making all these different energies that this universe possess. Fascinating. I then feed these hundreds of souls to the Hagioku. Using my desire to attain the properties of Senjutsu and Yaojutsu for myself. Ultimately I do not gain the energies themselves but their abilities. I now have the ability of controlling nature and strengthening myself with my Ryoku. This also means that my pervious ability to sense things in other dimensions has been upgraded. I can now tell how many devils exist within the underworld to the exact number. I can now better sense things that are connected to nature. I will have to thank those Yaokei for this when I go to Kyoto. Now what to do? All my plans are years from now. Well, I could teach Tobio and Volley some skills. I return to the mansion and sense that they are already in the training room. I arrive there and find them both hard at work. The moment they sense me they stop and give me their attention. AIZEN, you have done well with your training so far, Tobio, Volley. Now I would like to teach you some skills that will help you in battling a stronger opponent. Both of them nod excitedly, wondering what kind of overpowered techniques their lord possesses. AIZEN, I will teach you 2 techniques. The first is called. Using this you can force the pressure of your attack into the opponent's body. The last is called. This attack is similar to the second but it uses 2 fists and can totally destroy your opponent in one blow. I expect both of you to master these skills in 1 year. Volley and Tobio were now practically jumping in anticipation. Albion is also thinking about how useful these attacks could be on bigger opponents. All 3 of them however did not know that it would normally take decades to master these techniques. AIZEN, I will give a demonstration of both. You will be on your own from there. AIZEN then grabbed 2 of the punching bags and placed one of them in the center of the area. Volley and Tobio stood off to the side to not get in the way. AIZEN turned his body so that his left side is facing the bag. He then sent his right fist forward, and as soon as his knuckle touched the bag, it exploded from the inside, leaving a huge hole around his fist, and went flying back and hit the wall. Of course, AIZEN was holding back a lot. Otherwise there would be nothing left of this room. The spectators became awed at this featuring. Knowing that their lord put hardly any force into the attack, they became even more interested in learning Theseus' moves. AIZEN then brought the other bag to the middle of the room. He then walked away from the bag to a good distance. He then flexed his muscles, generating wind that almost knocked the observers off their feet, and appeared in front of the bag and launched both of his fists into it. The force of this technique disintegrated the bag, and the wall behind it was even damaged. Volley can't even damage the wall, and AIZEN did that while holding back a lot of his strength. AIZEN just kept his confident smirk on his face and walked past them. AIZEN, mind over matter. With enough time, even the weakest can become something terrifying. Both of the Espada candidates just stood there in awe, while Albion could not help but think of how a fight between AIZEN and Alatrian would go. Will the Black Dragon of Destruction finally meet his match? As a dragon, Albion could not help but become excited, for their battle will be legendary. This will be the end of Power 1 of this series.